Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our Jack Westin MCAT podcast. In today's CARS Reading Skills Workshop, we are going to be talking about a pretty amazing passage. So, Jack, it's great to be here with you again.
Come
I'm
on.
excited to talk about this with you.
Yeah, this I think our first time doing a political science passage together,
I
which
think so.
typically are not students' favorites,
I
but
know.
it is an easier read. I think it reads more like a newspaper article.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm excited. Let's jump into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as a reminder, if in case this is your first CARS reading skills workshop, basically what we're going to do is we're going to go through a CARS daily passage that we make available, as it sounds, every single day for free on our website. We'll go through sentence by sentence, kind of discuss what we should be pulling out of each sentence, if anything, and kind of trying to highlight the way that you can approach cars in a very critical way. As you always say, Jack, not every sentence is equally important. And in fact, there are going to be a couple sentences in every passage that carry a lot more weight than others. So, our goal in a workshop or a podcast like this is to help kind of implicitly train you to recognize those high value sentences, and then talk about, again, how to track ideas as we make our way through the passage itself. So today we will be going over the passage called EU Enlargement. This is going to be the daily passage for today, which is July 16th. Okay, if you are listening to this after July 16th, no worries. We've got the link in the description, or you could go on our website and you can access our extended history of daily passages as well as actually a ton of other passages and questions. I think the last time I checked, I think it was like 2,000 free cars questions on our website. So lots of opportunity to get practice if you'd like. And we hope that you enjoy this breakdown. Also, if you want, the questions will also be posted on our website as well, in case you'd like to go over those and see how much you understood from our episode today. So I think with that, I think we're ready to hop in. Jack, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so sentence one of our passage, it says enlargement has been one of the European Union's great successes as it lets more and more countries join. Okay, so here we are establishing European Union or EU enlargement. That is like the subject of the sentence. We're explaining that it makes or allows countries to join, kind of makes sense with enlargement. But what we're stating really is that it's a great success. Now, that is an argument. We always want to make sure we understand the first sentence, but that is an argument that enlargement has been a success of the European Union. Um, so that's something that I want to track. We'll see. We probably are going to establish this as our subject. We'll probably talk a lot about that in this passage, but European Union enlargement is a great success.
Right, right. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head here. I mean, this is packed with a lot of information, right? And
Mhm.
a couple of concerns that I think students have is what is European Union? Because a lot of students may not know what that is, right?
Mhm.
And you don't need to. I mean, it's in the name. It says Europe, right? So it's the continent of Europe and Union. So it's probably a bunch of European countries coming together.
Mhm.
And if it says enlargement, well, okay, that means that you're probably including more people into this union. And it
Mhm.
even says it. The last part of it says as
Exactly. Yeah.
more and more countries join. So we,
Mhm.
we can assume that the European Union is a bunch of countries that work together, and we're talking about enlarging it, meaning we increase the amount of members within the union.
Mhm.
And I think you really said something important. This is an argument. Why? Because whether or not enlargement has been a success or a failure is very much based on opinion.
Yeah.
Because we can't really assess this as a fact. Yeah, you can say more people have joined, but more countries, excuse me, have joined, but we don't know if more countries joining at the rate at which it's joining is successful. It could be
Mhm.
it could be a failure because maybe only one country every 10 years joins or 20 years join. How do we
Yeah.
measure what is successful, what is a failure, right?
Mhm.
To one person, it might look like a success. To another, it might look like a failure. But to the author, who is the most important person in our life right now, when we're reading it, right?
Yeah.
It's a success. It's a
Yeah.
success. We don't know the details. We don't understand the surrounding reasoning or rationale behind it, but we have to assume it is based on what the author just directly said. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And a great success too. We even have
right.
extra characterizations, not even just a success, but a great success.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely, definitely striking the tone of an argument there. Um, okay, well, let's see what we get in sentence two. It says enlargement has brought stability and democracy to parts of the continent which have had too little of either. So, okay, we kind of see maybe what enlargement does bring stability and democracy, or it expands stability and democracy. I feel like that sentence pretty clear, pretty easy to understand. It's maybe helping us understand why this is a great success.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just a great success that that the enlargement has occurred, right? Like the
Yeah.
enlargement is a great success. So it's like
Mhm.
actually doing well, right?
Yeah.
The author seems to now believe it's actually a good thing.
Yes.
Right. So this is different than saying the enlargement is because even if the enlargement was a success, the author may be against the enlargement, right? Like they could say, okay, like it's actually working in terms of how they grow, right? It's growing, it's letting more countries join, but the author may not like it,
Yeah.
right? Here it's clear, right? It's based on the tone and the way they are describing it that enlargement is actually a good thing. It's beneficial, right?
Yeah.
It's creating stability, democracy, and so we kind of understand where the author's mind is at.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, okay. Sentence three says, but the policy is about to be put to its biggest test. Okay, so we said it was good. The author clearly feels favorable about this EU enlargement, but there's about to be a problem. We're going to test this policy very soon. So we're now kind of taking a turn in our passage. What is this test going to be? We haven't really described it yet. We probably will. Okay, but from now, what I know is there's something brewing, right? Or like there's a dot dot dot. This may not be
Right.
a perfect situation right now.
Yeah.
Um,
If you're in our course or in one of our tutoring programs, our instructors highlight the contrast word but. But is a very like but, however, yet when you see a contrast word like that, it's profound. It means that we're shifting gears, right? We're
yes.
going into this opposite direction. Not necessarily suggesting that it's bad, but that
Mhm.
there's something else going on, right?
Yes.
It could be a 180. Usually it is, right? Where they're completely shifting into, oh, well, it's not successful or it's not a good thing. But here it's not clear. It's saying it's just that it's being tested, right?
Mhm.
This is not something I would ever track. This just it's sort of like alarms me as to there's something bigger brewing, like
Yes.
I said.
Yeah.
But I cannot like articulate this because there is nothing to articulate. There's
Yeah.
nothing here, right? I don't know what that test is. Like there's way more that the MCAT's going to test than just say, "Oh, it's being tested." That's not enough.
Yeah. What is the test?
So yeah, this should give you some sort of like confidence and intrigue, right? To
Yeah.
keep reading to find that test. Like, what is it? What's the problem? Right?
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I literally see it as a dot dot dot. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
okay, you've got my attention. Now what?
right.
Um, so let's look. Our next sentence of paragraph one says the European Union is due to open negotiations with the biggest and most important country to have asked for membership so far. Okay, so this is what the test is going to be. We're tested because we have a country that may join, right? The country is big and important. This is the test. I still don't have a country name yet. I don't know what country I'm dealing with, but it's helping me understand. Again, I'm kind of on the edge of my seat here. The test is we have a country that may join. What's the country? Tell me the country. I want to know.
Right. Yeah.
The suspense is there. And our last sentence of paragraph 1 gives it to us. That country is Turkey. So now to kind of put together those last three sentences, we're kind of just saying that Turkey and potentially adding Turkey to the EU is going to be the test to EU enlargement. That is the test, right?
Yeah.
Should Turkey be added, basically?
Right. We don't know. We don't know. I mean, probably assuming that because the author has been saying it's success and it's good, enlargement is bringing stability, we probably want to assume that Turkey should be added, right? But
Yeah,
we
who
don't
knows?
we don't know the author's perspective. The only thing we know is that the author thinks this is going to be a challenge.
Hmm.
We don't know why. Like why is Turkey special here, right? It's interesting because Turkey kind of falls between the lines of Asia and Europe. There's actually parts of Turkey that are in Europe and parts of Asia that Turkey that are in Asia.
Huh.
Fun fact, but I mean, not that
Interesting.
important. Yeah, but in this case, we just need to kind of understand what the author's saying. We don't need to have any background knowledge. I mean, you may think Turkey, wait, isn't that like a Middle Eastern or Asian country? Technically, it could be, right? But why are they trying to be added to the European Union, right? That's interesting. So let's keep reading and see where this is going. But at least we now have established a topic. It's
Hmm.
Turkey joining the European Union, right? And we kind of have an idea that the author likes enlarging the European Union, right? And has
Hmm.
so far believes it's been successful, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all we know from this paragraph, which is a
Yeah.
ton, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that you bring up that we can't assume the author wants Turkey to join. Because I feel like that's what most students are going to do is fuse those ideas. So I'm really glad that you pointed that out. A lot of us may have done that implicitly, and that's not something that would
It
really
could,
serve us in the questions.
I mean, it could be the case. I mean, if I had to guess,
Could be, yeah.
yeah, sure, but it hasn't said anything about Turkey. The author may
Exactly.
deviate and go, Turkey, yes, we should enlarge the European Union, but Turkey should not join because of these following reasons, right? And
Hmm.
so like it could take that turn. I don't know, and I'm always open-minded. I
Yes.
don't assume I know what the author is going to say or do, right? It's
Yes.
just it's someone with their own unique perspective that I need to completely pay attention to and not bring in my own information or outside knowledge or opinions. In
Yes.
okay.
Absolutely. Love it. Okay, let's look at paragraph number 2 and we'll bring that mindset to this paragraph. So, Turkey first applied to join what was then the EEC in 1959. So, okay, this feels like a fact. It's when Turkey applied. I don't know when this passage was written, but we know that that's quite a long time ago. Just
Yeah,
a fact,
we,
context.
we
Thank you.
could debate history, but it doesn't seem like the author is trying to debate this or make this a big problem, right? It's just factual information. I have no idea what the EEC is. I have
Mhm.
no idea, but I'm sure it's probably a precursor to the European Union,
Yeah,
applied to join what was then. That sounds like okay, probably some sort of European Union before the European Union. But again, I have no
yeah.
idea, right? No, no, I'm
Mhm.
not going to pretend I know. So let's continue.
Yeah, totally. Okay, let's keep reading. We then see two sides, or the two sides signed an association agreement in 1963, in parentheses, implicitly accepting that Turkey could be a candidate, end parentheses. So there's some sort of agreement between the EEC, which, yeah, like you said, is probably a EU precursor, and Turkey could be a candidate. We're getting context still. Um, the implicitly acknowledging this, I mean, is that really implicit? I don't know, but it doesn't feel like this is something that the author is trying to highlight about, like as an individual argument. Um, and we have more in this paragraph after or more in this sentence after the semicolon. So to keep reading, right? Our next little sentence fragment here says a customs union in 1995. So more context. And then we see, and the European Union was officially accepted Turkey as a candidate for entry in 1999. So to me, Jack, this just reads like history. Like we're just sharing the context of Turkey and the EEC's relationship that potentially we have negotiations to join the EU.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just again, background info. just reading and understanding.
Okay. Do you think, I know students often get preoccupied with dates. Do you think that these dates are going to be critically important? Are we going to see these dates in the questions most likely?
Most likely no, but I always recommend keeping track of dates. Right.
Okay.
And I don't think it's that difficult to do because we know it's in this paragraph and we kind of know that it's like it sounds like the Turkey has been trying to join the European Union for a long time, right?
Yeah.
1959, that's like 60 plus years ago.
Yeah.
So like it, I would just read with that kind of mentality, but these specific dates you could highlight, you could just keep track of knowing it's in the second paragraph. Probably not a big part of this of the questions.
Yeah. That would be a really narrow question for them to ask about something specific like that. Um, okay. Turkey has, in short, been asking to join Europe for so long that its application is starting to look old and moth-eaten. So much that some diplomats and politicians seem to have forgotten the strategic reasons for entertaining it. Okay, so this sentence is much more clear. Turkey has been asking to do this for a while, right? The application is old, um, but also we're kind of starting to see a position form um, as far as like the strategic reasons for entertaining it. The author's not coming out and saying 100% Turkey should join, but it based on the word choice, maybe that's a little bit more likely.
Yeah, when you make a great point. I don't think a lot of students would be able to pick that up, especially in the moment, right?
Mhm.
Because a lot of us are just trying to read for what we need to know to answer the questions, right? And I think that you were reading it in a way that allowed you to really connect with the author and their tone, which I highly recommend, right? And that's just a mental thing. That's just reading in a way where you don't care about yourself and you're just trying to really pay attention to the author allows you to understand it at a deeper level. And I think
Yeah.
it's up on something that is really good. But again, if they care, this is something we've talked about, they will bring it up. Some
Yes.
diplomats and politicians seem to have forgotten the strategic reasons for entertaining it.
Yeah, they don't know the
They
benefits.
don't know the benefits. They forgot. It's like you. It sounds like the author is a little annoyed by these people, right? Like, why
Yeah.
are they not doing it sooner? Like, are they forgetting why this is so important? That's the tone. That's the way the author is trying to paint this, and
Yeah.
so we can assume that it's probably a good idea for Turkey to join the EU, right? European Union,
Mhm.
right? But again, not so clear, right? And so this is just more background filler paragraph.
Yes, absolutely. Um, okay. Well, let's take a look at paragraph 3 then, and we'll see what we get. It says the long period of putting off Turkey is now over. Okay, so we introduced in paragraph 2 that this application has taken forever. Now it's time to decide, it sounds like. That just gets me excited. We have to decide now. What are we going to decide? What is the debate? Why is this so important?
Yeah.
Um,
Imagine you apply to medical school in 1959 and you haven't heard back. That's
until 1999.
19, that's literally how it feels to the author, right?
Yeah,
Like, hey, they've been doing this. They've been trying to apply to what some version of the EU, and we can't wait anymore. Like,
yeah,
let's figure this out.
yeah. Let's get a
That's
move on.
okay.
Okay, last December, European Union heads of government promised to start negotiations if Turkey met just two more conditions, in parentheses, which it has done, end parentheses. So we're starting negotiations, right? We stated that there were conditions, but the conditions have been met, right? I like the use of parentheses. It feels like an aside. Again, I'm getting the sense of this impatient author, like you illustrated, and this feels like the author's describing this and kind of giving an aside, like it's already done this. Let's get a move on. Let's hurry up now,
If I had
which
to
is
guess,
funny.
yeah, if I had to guess, I would say the author really wants Turkey to be a part of the European Union based on just the way that they're describing this,
Yeah,
right? The word
yeah,
choices and
mhm,
grammatical choices. So yeah,
yes.
Yeah,
At
cool.
the very least, the author wants the EU to make a decision, but it seems very favorable that the author wants wants Turkey to be added. Okay, to get this far, Turkey has taken such dramatic steps as abolishing the death penalty, accepting Kurdish as a language in schools, scrapping state security courts, revising the penal code, and tightening civilian control over the army. So, Turkey is making major changes to enter EU, is kind of what I'm seeing. These are all individual situations that represent these steps they're taking.
Right.
Um, I'm not tracking any individually, but it's helping me understand Turkey is trying to follow or trying to be established within the EU and doing a lot to do it.
To get this far, right? These are the things they've done. We don't know what so the previous sentence mentioned that there were two more conditions. We don't know those two conditions yet.
Yeah,
They've just like the author has just mentioned what has been happening so far. So these conditions have already been met. And so I'm curious, what are the other two conditions? Like what's stopping them from being accepted? Right.
hmm
I This is a list. I would never write this down. I would
yeah,
visualize it, understand like they're, I guess, doing things that are more pro human rights, right?
yeah. hmm
I'm not gonna take a side on whether or not the death penalty is good or not, or what. Like, I just need to understand what the author believes are the conditions that allowed them to get this far, right? And
Absolutely.
that's all it is at this point. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, one last sentence in paragraph 3. It says, as these national improvements show, the admittance of Turkey to the European Union will be a risk, but one that could be greatly beneficial. Okay, that's now a very important sentence, right? We're saying, see all these improvements? This proves that maybe it's a risk, but it's a beneficial risk. Right. And I love that you brought up contrast words earlier because normally we talk about how what comes after the but or the however is more important. Like if I say, I don't mean to be rude, but like clearly I didn't care if I was going to be rude. Like I wanted to say what I was going to say. Right. Like what came before doesn't carry the same weight as what comes after. So yeah, it's a risk, but one that could be greatly beneficial. I feel like that phrase alone just told us a lot about the author's stance here. Um,
Author thinks that, look, abolishing the death penalty, accepting Kurdish as a language in schools, scrapping it, like these are beneficial things, right? And so the author is saying, look, accept Turkey, like they're doing all the right things, and it can be
mm,
beneficial to their country and I guess overall to the union, right?
mm,
But yeah, the author has made their point.
yeah,
They have now created a stance, right?
yeah,
Yes, it has been a problem for Turkey to join the European Union, but this is
mhm,
something that is beneficial,
yeah,
right? And we should do this. Like that's the author's point, right? Why else
mhm,
would they say it could be greatly beneficial? They could change their mind, right? They could the rest of the passage could literally go in and say, "Don't do it. It's terrible. They should just forget about it."
yeah.
Unlikely based on how they've been building up the situation, right? With the word choices.
mhm,
So, but yeah, let's keep going. Let's see where this goes.
yeah. Okay, so paragraph 4 says this is a last chance for both sides. So again, I'm kind of getting the vibe here. It's now or never. Like make it work or don't make it work. This is your last shot. Again, the author is it ever since you said we have a very impatient author, I now feel that it just fits really well. This sentence fits into that same tone. It's a last chance. Hurry up and make a decision. Decide that Turkey should come in, according to the last paragraph.
Yep, sounds good.
Uh, Turkish patience with EU obstructiveness is running out, as is European willingness to accept new members. So time is running out. It's your last chance. It's now or never. Make it happen or don't. Not a ton of new stuff so far. Last December, the French, German, and Dutch leaders, among others, agreed to start talks. So start talking, make it work. It's now or never. Still, kind of, we're just stating it's going to start soon, which we already knew. They may not make that agreement now, France and the Netherlands after they lost referendums on the EU constitution, and Germany because of its impending election. Okay. Now we're getting more context about the countries. To me, this is still signaling it's now or never. Like it's we've been waiting a really long time. Things are going on in these countries. This may not happen if we keep waiting. Do you think this is something that we would want to track, Jack, or are we clear to keep reading?
It's so wishy-washy the way like
Mm,
they may not have that agreement now. Like it just sounds like the author is frustrated.
yeah, yeah,
Like
you could feel that.
I don't think there's anything profound in terms of the argument,
Hmm.
just understanding how the author like positions this,
Feel,
right? Uh,
yeah.
that's it. Yeah, I don't think it's substantive enough, substantial
Mhm.
enough. Yeah.
Okay. Angela Merkel has said she will respect European processes that are underway when she takes office, which could include, or which would include the Turkish talks if they start. So we just were saying it might not happen. Now we're saying that Angela Merkel, I don't know who that is, but she would respect it if that's the case. Um, but then again, then the next sentence says, but if the date slips, Merkel might want to reconsider. She's strongly against Turkey's membership. So again, we kind of started going off on the tangent of like, well, this one person might respect it, and now we're saying if you wait too long, you're going to lose your shot, which comes right back to the original idea from this paragraph. It's now or never, really. And that's really what the last sentence of the paragraph says. If Turkey is not accepted now, it may not be accepted. It's now or never.
That's the
That's the
thing.
idea.
That's the thing, right? And is it important to know Merkel is strongly against Turkey's membership? Yeah, I mean, I would know that. I mean, it's not bad, but we don't know why, right? It doesn't give us specifics, but the whole paragraph just seems to be saying, look, we need to make a decision. Like, look, it's too late. It's time is running out,
Yeah.
right? And there's nothing critical here. There's like other than right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like this is very testable,
Yeah.
but it is important for the overall understanding of the author's position, which is always critical, right? That main idea. So that is
Yes.
the author's going. Okay, cool.
Cool. Well, let's look at our next paragraph. What is this? Paragraph number 5. All this makes it worrying that as Curtain Up nears, the European Union is suffering from a bad case of stage fright. Yeah, I feel like you're spot on with the author's frustration. Almost like exasperation, like, how are we still dealing with this? How are you about to get stage fright right now? It's pretty tone intense words.
Right. And
But again, it's worrying. That's what I see. That's
I
most
think
important.
I think the thing that helped me pick that up are the dates, right? Like it's
Mhm.
1910. Damn, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, a really long time.
And also the choice words that you mentioned, right? Like that you brought
Mhm.
up, like where they talked about how so these diplomats have forgotten the strategic reasons for entertaining it. So like
Mhm.
I think the dilemma that students face is that they really want to do well. And so they
Yeah.
read every paragraph and they want to find the right information. But I actually believe that that kind of mentality is what hurts students the most.
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
if you are just looking for stuff, you are not really paying attention for the purpose of understanding the author. You are understanding things for the purpose of the exam. And
Hmm.
that is how you miss these questions because you
Hmm.
lose sight of the bigger picture. You lose sight of the author's position, which is in fact how they ask questions, right? And so the best advice I can give anyone who reads this is yeah, anyone can read this. Like anyone can read this and pick up some important parts. But if you want to deeply understand this to the point where you get every single question right, that you can't get tricked on these questions, forget about your score. Forget about this exam. Just pay attention to the author and listen to their argument, their conversation that they're having with you, right?
Yeah.
I think that that is so important is just take your time, read it, be calm, be cool, like It's imagine literally someone sitting there and saying this to your face, right?
Mhm.
You're not gonna ignore them and not look at them in the eye and start writing down every little thing. Like you're not focused if you do that, right?
Mhm.
So respect them, respect the author, pay attention, try to understand their point through their tone, try to understand their point through how they make their arguments, the structure of their passage, right? Their essay. I think all those are cues that give you an idea of where this is headed, which will help you a lot with the questions. Right.
Yeah, that's very powerful. I love that visual. Um, yeah, super important. Okay, let's continue with paragraph number 5. It says two issues threaten to abort the talks: Turkey's refusal to recognize Cyprus and the desire of some countries to offer Turkey something less than full membership. So, this is part of the problem. We've established that the author is a little frustrated. Turkey's been waiting for a very long time to be considered, and now we get kind of what the issues are, the reason for the holdup, at least right now. So something about Cyprus, not recognizing Cyprus, and then maybe some countries don't think Turkey deserves to be a full member.
Right. And
Um,
so these could be the conditions. You remember they said something about two conditions. I don't know. We don't know, but we should understand the circumstance, right? Just
yeah,
understanding that Turkey's refusal to recognize Cyprus. What does that mean? That means that Turkey doesn't believe Cyprus is a country.
yeah.
And politically, that could happen. Like a country could not agree that another country is a country. And so we don't know. We just need to keep going and just understand that there's some sort of dilemma, turmoil, something going on. Again, we don't know if the author agrees or disagrees with Turkey's stance, but let's keep going.
Mhm.
See where this goes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Our next sentence says, it's obvious to all, including the Turks, and again, that's an aside in parentheses, that Turkey must recognize Cyprus eventually. We see a semicolon. So it's obvious that Turkey has to accept Cyprus. And it even says, including the Turks. The Turks recognize this is obvious too. So this was one of the things that were threatening the talks. The author's saying it's obvious that Turkey's going to have to do this.
Right. So the
And
author believes this should be done. Right.
exactly. Yeah. The
Right.
author maybe doesn't think that this should be holding the talks up.
Right.
Um, Indeed, that is one reason why the Cypriots and Greeks have supported the entry talks. This almost feels like even the people from Cyprus want them to be part of this
Right.
conversation,
And
right? Like even the people that are not being acknowledged want them to begin talks.
yeah, because then at least Cyprus will be deemed a country in the eyes of Turkey, right?
Uh-huh. Exactly. Okay, the question is whether it must do so before they even start. So, okay, now it's not a question of if, it's when. That's basically what it sounds like.
Yeah.
When does Turkey need to acknowledge Cyprus?
Right.
Um, okay. I mean, I don't know that that's going to be critically important either. We'll see how they finish this paragraph. Um, our next sentence says, this week, the French government accepted a diplomatic declaration that would let the talks begin without recognition. Oh, so it's not even a question. It's not a question anymore. We know the answer. Actually, maybe this is just French government. I don't know. Sounds like the talks are going to proceed. I don't know. I'm still like, give me the point. What's the point of this paragraph? I feel like it's not super clear yet what the point is.
Okay.
Our last our last sentence here says Turkey recognizing Cyprus, either before its admittance or after, will be one of the many positive international events that will come of admitting Turkey and one of the better reasons to do so. Okay. If you had not understood yet the author's position on the EU and Turkey, here it is, right?
Yes.
Gift wrapped for you. This is
Finally.
very
Right.
clear and very direct.
Yes. And it was clear at the end of paragraph 3, right?
Three. Yeah.
But like that idea is repeating here.
Yes.
right? Like, hey, it's beneficial for Turkey to join the EU.
Hmm.
And literally, that's what it's saying here. And so
Yeah.
that is the main idea because it's been coming up over and over and over again. It's interesting because the author starts with enlargement is good, right? It's successful, it's good. Now it's not just enlarge, it's Turkey joining. It's more
Hmm.
it's Turkey joining, which is beneficial overall for Turkey and I guess the EU.
Yes. Yeah, and then we even get a specific benefit. Like it's even more clear that this is something the author cares about because they just spent basically this whole paragraph talking about Cyprus and recognizing Cyprus. This is one of those benefits.
Right.
Like they're not even just going to say it's beneficial and leave it alone. That would be an argument, but now they're even adding more support to that. Um, yeah, so and I love that we can kind of find a main idea before we're even officially done. I think most students don't aren't looking for common themes while they read. Maybe they try and create one later, but I love that when we do these podcasts, we're constantly questioning what is the main point of the author, right? What is this? Of the ideas that are mentioned, which ideas feel most critical to the author? Um, so I love that. And yeah, it's the same thing that we saw before.
Every single passage has an opinion.
Yes.
Every single one, multiple opinions. One of those opinions is the main argument.
Hmm.
Only way you're gonna you understand it, find it is if you actually read it. Not if you skip and skim and read the first paragraph and the last paragraph or the first sentence of every paragraph. You gotta read it. You have to read it, right? And that's what we're doing here. We're really engaging, we're experiencing the author's perspective. And that you can't run away from that. There's nothing you can do but read, right?
Yes.
Practice. Okay.
Okay. One last paragraph. It says, yet, even if this first problem responds to treatment, it's not certain the second will. Okay. Maybe we're talking about the other thing, not Cyprus, maybe the membership issue. I don't know. That's pretty general. I see the yet, which is another one of our contrast words, but maybe this isn't going to work. I would love them to state this more directly, but that's kind of the gist that I'm getting from that sentence.
Okay.
Our next sentence says, this is the threat that some members might insist on putting a quote, privileged partnership, end quote, into the framework document for negotiations as a case or a backup in case membership talks fail. So a privileged partnership. What does that mean? It kind of sounds like from the context that this is a backup. Like again, backup in case the talk fails.
Right. Less than the full
Less
membership.
than, yeah, exactly. This is
That
the backup.
about some sort of lesser membership. That sucks. Like, who would
Mhm.
want to be a lesser
I
member?
know, that's rude.
Yeah.
Um, Especially from the author's perspective, because the author seems to find this to be beneficial that the EU or that Turkey joins. And keep in mind, in paragraph one, we said that this is Turkey's the biggest and most important country to have this conversation. So
Right. Biggest test. Right. Yeah.
it's the
And
biggest test. Yeah.
this partial membership might be a good thing. Who knows? I mean, we don't know the author's position on it yet.
Yeah.
But from the looks of it, the author wants full acceptance.
Yeah. At least on the basis that this might threaten Turkey joining the EU. Like this is a threat that might jeopardize this outcome that the author wants, which is Turkey joining the EU or the fact that it's beneficial.
Right. And they just
Um,
want to accept that there might be a lesser membership. Okay.
mm. Next sentence says the Turks see this as an insult. So that's pretty direct. Again, giving this like less than status is insulting. Um, I think that kind of makes sense based on context, but we've now, explicitly said it. This is insulting.
The author
Um,
could have said easily, "Hey, this is a good thing. This is
mhm.
maybe Turkey should just accept it." Right?
Yeah,
And it moves us a little bit closer, inching us closer to full acceptance later on. Right?
yeah,
I mean, that could have easily happened.
yeah,
Because this is all opinions. Like we don't know if this is good or bad. Nothing,
yeah.
anything we do can be perceived positively or negatively, right?
Hmm.
And that's all. Yeah, we just have to understand the author's perspective.
Yes. Okay. Wrangling is likely to continue until the last minute. Okay. So, uh, wrangling, I guess we're talking about wrangling the EU and Turkey. Um, but okay, again, we're just talking about the process of deciding will Turkey join or not. I don't think we're really learning anything super new in that sentence. We've
Okay.
got one left in the passage, and it says the best that can be said is that the chances of the talks starting soon are greater than they were 2 weeks ago and probably better than 50-50. So, okay. I mean that's the best that can be said. I feel like we didn't if this is the best, this is not very specific at all. Is that the best that we could say? I don't think that we really got any super testable information in this paragraph. I don't,
Yeah, it does. I mean, I don't think so either. Yeah, I mean, I would just know that it seems like the author doesn't like this idea of a privileged partnership
yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
faster than a full membership, but it doesn't seem like the bigger point. Bigger point is, hey, just let's get this ball rolling and let's get
Mhm.
Turkey, accepted into the EU because this is beneficial nationally for Turkey, and I mean that's the position the author has. So I would just stick with that and go through the questions.
Yes, absolutely. And that was our last paragraph. Like you mentioned, I think we already kind of have our main idea, but will you sum it up for us for anyone who missed it when you said it earlier? What should we be getting from this passage as a whole?
As a whole, enlargement is good, right? But that's not a main argument. I just knowing that letting Turkey join the European Union is a positive thing.
Yeah.
I think that's the main argument. And the author is sort of impatient, frustrated, right?
Hmm.
Ready for it to happen. Yes, there are some conditions. Some of them the author agrees with the European Union that they should accept. Even France is suggesting, hey, just move forward. Even if they don't accept it, they'll eventually accept it. Everyone agrees with that. The other one is sort of bad, right? The membership thing, that condition the author seems to be against. But either way, let's move this forward,
Yeah.
right? They've been waiting long enough, and it's positive because they're doing things that are beneficial. Why would we stop these talks, right? Like that's the gist.
Yeah. And I love that you bring in both the main idea, like what's the actual argument that's the most important, and then also comment on the tone. Like, how did the author say it? Right? Like, what is the author's like? How did they feel about their argument? Because they do seem very impatient. And I get questions often when students see like what is the main idea of the passage. I think it's more straightforward than like which of the following best describes the author's tone.
Right.
Because the tone is not a word in the passage. It's the sort of the vibe of the author, right? It's what you perceive about how they feel about their arguments. The
Yeah.
word choice especially tells you a lot about that tone.
Exactly. It's not the argument itself. Like if I said the European Union should be abolished, right?
Uh-huh.
That is neutral in tone. I'm not giving any sort of word choice that suggests that I'm passionate either way,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like the words I use can denote how passionate emotionally I am to this argument. That's
Yeah.
tone.
Yeah.
That tone is how do I feel, like you said, about the argument, right?
Yeah.
How do I express that argument? Is it
Mhm.
positive? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it neutral? Typically, it's neutral. Like typically, the tone is neutral. Now there could be the specific tones like frustrated or eager or anxious, right? Like or confused. But typically, I look at it in a spectrum of positive, negative, or neutral, and it's usually
Mhm.
here, the author's positive towards Turkey, right?
Mhm.
Joining EU, negative towards how long it's taken.
Yeah.
And so you
Exactly.
look at it as either way. But yeah,
Yeah. Super valuable. Well, everyone, we are at the end of our passage. We've talked about our main idea. It's at this point, if you were doing a full length, that you would make your way to the questions. And that is what we would encourage you to do after the conclusion of this podcast. Our goal in having a podcast like this is really to walk you through how to read effectively and how to pull out what's critical from these passages, especially if they aren't your cup of tea necessarily. Like Jack said, right? Imagine this is a person sitting in front of you. You're not going to completely ignore them. You're not going to tune them out. You're going to give them the respect that they deserve as a human being. These passages are written by authors, right? So we've walked through the passage. It's now time for you guys to check out the questions. We will include the link to our daily passage in the description, regardless of where you're seeing this: YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. So definitely take a look. If you're watching this on July 17th or July 16th when it's made available, you could also just check it out on our website. Again, we have dailies that go up every single day as they sound, for free. You have no shortage of CARS resources with us. Totally free, totally open access. Make sure to get lots of practice, so you can see how these mindsets and key strategies that we've been sharing can really help improve your score. So thank you, everyone, so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope we catch you in the next one. Until then, happy studying, and we will see you later.